Hello everyone, the Anime Now here with another video. This time we'll be doing another more casual video, and this time we'll be looking at Biaoren or Blade of the Guardians. This is one of the top upcoming Donghua, and it has been one of the ones that I have been highly anticipating since quite a while ago when it was first announced. First, let me just show you how the manhua looks to begin with. So we are here in Tencent's comic platform, and this is published there. It's also present in the other platforms as well, Bilibili and the likes. But as you can see, Biaoren, Blades of the Guardians. It's not quite a direct translation. Biaoren is more of an escort, so they're not necessarily guardians in that sense. In a sense, they're hired as bodyguards for people that they're ambiguous. The main characters, and this is the principal main character, but there's a huge cast. They're not necessarily good guys in the traditional sense. As you can see, it's black and white, so it's monochrome. It's a more Japanese style. It's very manga-like. It's not like a webtoon that's read in a sense like a strip. This is more a manga. It's moving one page from the other and in these blocks. So very Japanese inspired, this artist, which I think his name is Shu Xianzhe. So you can see the art here. These comics in China, they have a different structure in terms of production from Japan, and that's one of the things that so let me just explain. If you have read any manhua or manhwa from Korea, and this is partially because they have a different structure for production of the comic. It's usually in studios, so usually a cartoonist or if you take the Japanese example, a mangaka would basically establish a studio, and you'd hire these many people and they would produce the manga with him, and you'd not always necessarily have his name. He might have a studio name. And you have this more present in Japan. It's very much more traditional. It's very much focused on the artist, and he does most of the work, and he has assistants who help him with work. And I find it a bit sad in Japan because the assistant, even though they do a lot of work, obviously in the manhwa they don't get the sort of credit. It's just one person, the author in that sense, or the artist, if it's separated. And I find that a bit unfair. But in one example that we have that's quite big in Japan, that follows the example that I just stated, where it's a studio, it's not one person. It's Gogo 13, Saito Takeo, I think that's the name of the author. Basically, he followed the example from that I just stated from China, where he basically has a production studio. So he would be in charge of only basically overseeing. Eventually, when he got older, he would just be in charge of overseeing, and the drawing, the whole story process was done by his team, and it was credited him as the author or originator of the series. Productions, his company basically, was credited for doing the manga itself. So it's just his name, so he probably drew this by himself. So that's why some manhwa have very rough arts at the beginning. Some of them that are published like by one person who drew on his free time without any income. He drew this and published it online, and it gained popularity. So the art's not always great at the start, and that's one thing to keep in mind for most manhwa. But eventually, when you have studios, usually you have better art, but they might be new studios as well, and the money coming in is not always. It diversifies a lot. It's very dependent on the popularity of the comic. They're still getting there with the monetization and the sort of things, and how these studios can make money. So as you can see, very Japanese inspired. It's a warlike manhwa, and there's a lot of fighting, blood shedding. As you can see, it's kind of very violent. In a sense, it would be similar to Ravages of Time. I think in terms of Ravages of Time, it has a bit more poetic, historical. It's a work that I think has higher production values. So just going through some more details of this comic. This was just the first chapter. It started quite a while ago, even though I think it has, how many chapters does it have actually? It has, oh, counting here, it says its last update was the end of 2021, which is actually not that unbelievable, because manhua also have a very tendency to go on hiatus and those sort of things. Like I said before, it's the lack of money and very unstable career, especially if you're just doing it by yourself. But yeah, this is a popular comic, so it might be for whatever reason the comic artist is kind of not wanting to continue. So it has 110 chapters here, but I think it has another one published. So it has 111 chapters, even though it's been published since 2015. So it's quite an old work, closing in on a decade in terms of duration, and it doesn't have actually that much in terms of content. And in part, that's because of this time period where it doesn't get updated and those sort of things. But as you can see here, it's listed here as the author as Shin Manhua, and that's because Shin Manhua is a platform for manhua on phones, and it's very much Japanese inspired comics, and he published it there, and then they have kind of rights over the work with him in the publishing rights, so they publish further on Tencent and those sort of things for wider readership. But yeah, let's have a look. So Biaoren, it's been in production, the animation, for quite a while. It's been done by Color Pencil Animation, and it's finally coming out in the 1st of June. And now I'm very interested on how Tencent is going to handle this international audience that this might have, as whether they give it subs, will they actually publish it in the platform, will they seek Netflix, those sort of things. I think that would be the best choice, but you never know with Tencent. They're a bit of a oddball. But yeah, let's just have a look now on Weibo, and this is very much those sort of first chapter that we kind of touched on. So yeah, that's the first chapter pretty much animated. It's very bloody. It's hard to think they actually didn't get censored. And this is the poster they published, so 6th, it will be in the 1st of June. I'm really looking forward to watching this series. It's been quite a while, but it's still up there in the anticipation department, and I hope it doesn't let people down, because I don't think it will. I think the only way this will be a letdown is if the subs aren't good and that sort of popularity. If it doesn't get the level of popularity it probably deserves for its quality, because it doesn't have the publicity or the subs for people in the West to actually watch it. Because I think in China, I think it will receive that popularity, it will receive that sort of renown, and I'm sure it will eventually receive 2nd seasons, 3rd seasons, and so on. So I'm not worried in that part. I'm just worried about finding audiences in the West, because I was disappointed with Dragon's Raja. That I think it's a high IP. I think it would, compared to this in terms of quality and in terms of how big and the sort of themes it uses, I think it's similar to this work. It didn't have the sort of attention this had from the trailers and such, but it was a really big work, and I was expecting it to be really popular, and dud. It was a complete dud. Because there was no subs or any good subs available. There was no publication for it, no publicity. So that was the video, guys. Are you guys looking forward to the Blade of the Guardians? It's coming quite soon, and I'm really looking forward to how hyped this series will be and how the response will be in the English, if it does have subs. But leave a comment below if you read the manhua and you are looking forward to the anime, and if you have any other Donghua you're looking forward to. Don't forget to share it on the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.